This video is going to be on the competitive rating system and how it relates to every sector of the economy. I break up government responsibilities into 30 sectors, with education being one sector, military being another, police being another. We'll go through all the different sectors of the economy. But let's go through the rating system. The 4 or 5 major bullet points on that is made to prevent abuses and corruption with a lot lower monopolized regulations. So the main thing is have good high quality information. So we limit private sector harm without over regulating, and we allow many different methods of regulating to reduce down that harm. So we don't have micromanagement by regulators of the people who need to build the economy and to build in products and services. So high quality information, because we're going to have multiple 12 different rating agencies, each with a different perspective. So every citizen has to join a rating agency per sector based off of their worldview of how things should be rated and how things should be governed. So let's say education for a second. What is their practices? Every rating agency will have a worldview of how to regulate education. We'll get into it. We're going to force government experts to debate other experts from every perspective. And when I say force, to be a rating agency, you have to abide by certain things. And one of the mandates is that you have to debate within reason other experts of other rating agencies, so people can get down to the nitty gritty. You have to, if you do a study, you have to really turn over your information of how you did that study, so people can properly critique it. And then it doesn't mean you have to change how you rate, but people can see it better. Let's keep on going. And I say within reason, everything has a balance to this. So let's discuss the 30 sectors. In competitive governance, you have a governing side and a rating system side. You select a competitive governing agency to govern you within that sector of the economy or that sector of governance. And then you choose a rating system to analyze that, to rate that. And they are there, and that rating agency also has very high power to stop abuse, corruption, and self-dealing. So there's a lot to it. They stop civil liberty abuses. They stop a lot of things that. So they do have some court power, prosecutor power, and the like. But let's not get into too much. We go down too many rabbit holes, because if this is new to you, it's hard to have a full understanding, go through all the different bullet points. I have a lot of videos out there. Then on my website, I have all the different bullet points nicely laid out. So we get rid of all welfare. We go to a charity system. So what are we going to rate surrounding the charity? First of all, we have everybody's mandated to give to a charitable distribution association a certain percentage of their income, as well as businesses. So they give to the one that they match their philosophy on charity. So with about a dozen different ones putting out their philosophy, so you rate based off how well they're contributing to the different charities. You rate based off of their charitable philosophy. What are they going for? And then what are their results? Because a lot of times their results and what they're going for do not match well at all. Then the charities itself, how productive are they? How much self-dealing do they have? How much are they doing fluff and not doing the real help? How if they take a ton of labor hours within their people that they have working there just to do administrative overhead, that's not the best. So they rate that type of stuff. If they take a ton of time for somebody to go collect food, let's say, and distribute that food, how much better could they rate somebody who gives people coupons or vouchers to go to that grocery store and actually buy the food. That can be a lot more productive without so many labor hours involved. Just a couple little things. Sector 3, you have the caseworkers for charities. It's called charitable charity assessor organizations, and caseworkers are going to be overwhelmingly valuable, and that's where rating's going to be so important. Some people are going to abuse the system, and they're going to be rated low. They're going to be kicked out. People are not going to want to fund them. People are going to have a lot of good results, and the people with the better results are going to be rated high. More people are going to use those people because they have good results. They're getting people out of the dependence of the welfare system, out of the dependence of charity, or to the greatest level of interdependence that they possibly can. So some people are going to be rated very high because their caseworkers are so incredibly valuable. Right now, it's a monopoly system for caseworkers being done by government regulations, and it's a monopoly on that. So we're going to have a lot of different approaches to caseworkers that where these caseworkers can work the people that they that they're working with, that they're case working for, and they can require education. They can require certain ethical choices of ethical lifestyles where maybe they're going down the wrong pathways right now. So there's a lot there. So we want to give these people the most power to do what they can, as long as they're showing good results. If they show bad results, the rating system will rate them badly, and then people are not going to want to use them. So if they abuse the system, they're going to be rated low and they're going to get fired. Family law, what are the results? I mean, this is another one. Your intentions and the results are going to be wildly different, because a lot of times family law intentions do not regulations and laws surrounding family law are not going to result in what your intentions are going for. So that's going to be highly important that they measure results, not just intentions. And when you have a dozen different regulatory agencies out there, religion, that's to protect religious liberty and help organize religion to help other things. They're in the charity system because people, and that's the same reason family law is in there, is because you want to work through religion and family law in the family to deal with charity. The foreign protection system, you got the diplomats. How well are they being diplomats? How well are they representing you and your country to the other countries? The rating system on that is going to let people know. That's their job, is to let you know. The commander-in-chief, obviously there's going to be differences in quality of commanders. The whole officer corps is going to be in that, and how well they're doing. Are they utilizing military capabilities in a way that destroys too much military capabilities, more tanks and stuff, or are they maintaining things well? What are they doing? The military corporation, obviously they need oversight. The main oversight is going to be the Military Authorization Agency, but the military is going to need oversight from the rating agencies, and that's going to be big into an oversight role of the military. The military capability system is going to be super good rating system, because they're distributing the funds. They're distributing roughly $1 trillion, which is that's roughly $10,000 per household for 100 million households, or roughly. So that is so important. That has such strong ability to have corruption and self-dealing in that. So the rating system is going to be looking at every aspect of that. Plus the Military Authorization Agency looks at everything, and the rating agency is going to make sure the Military Authorization Agency is not doing corruption as well. So every one of these has corruption. Even the oversight groups have oversight. So the rating agency for the Military Authorization Agency, they have that oversight. A lot of people are going to be looking at a lot of different things. That's why we have competitive rating systems per sector. And we have 12 of those. You pick the one that you want the best. The violent crime mitigation system, we're going to have 12 groups of prosecutors. You have one set of violent crime laws. A lot of other laws that are outside of violent crimes are going to be done in competitive governance and be done just for their members. But for violent crimes, that has to be across the board. So you have prosecutors in that. You can have 12 different groups per state. There will be federal prosecutors as well, but per state, and then local components in that. Law enforcement or the police, obviously that needs major oversight. Every police officer is going to have a rating. And a lot of people are going to be able to look at those ratings and say, I don't want to hire this police department police organization if they're going to have low rated people. So it's going to be a way to get rid of low rated cops very rapidly. Where right now it's a government worker. They have rights, job protections, and to a large degree, that job protection is going to be reliant on a high ratings of police. How good are they? How good is the police? And not let job protections of the government get in the way of getting rid of a police officer not doing the best job. Judicial authority, that's the courts. Obviously, you need a huge amount of oversight of the courts, because that is where people lose their rights. If they get convicted, they get sent to prison, they lose their freedom and liberty, or they lose their money in a monetary judgment against them. Prisons and corrections, that obviously needs a tremendous amount of oversight to make sure the prisons are not violating civil liberties. Now, Sector 13, the law enforcement authorization, they authorize anybody with a badge, so they'll probably use rating systems of each one of these to say if you drop below a certain rating, you're not authorized to have a badge. And if you're not authorized to use a badge or have a badge, then you can't work here anymore. Therefore, that's going to be a way to get rid of some bad police prison guards, the warden of the prison, and just anybody with inherent government power through the violent crime mitigation system. They have to authorize that. And again, that authorization, because it's so powerful, they need oversight too, and that's what the rating system is going to do. The healthcare system, we're going to have 12 different healthcare systems. Obviously, in local towns where you don't have as many people to be able to handle 12 different groups, they're going to have some overlap. And you're going to be able to cooperate and have cooperation and be able to utilize different healthcare systems, individuals. But if it's 12 statewide, that's enough people to have a good amount of doctors and doctors' offices and specialists to be able to work with you. You're going to have that division of labor. And again, all healthcare systems can work outside of their system by allowing their members, they can join together with other healthcare systems. Every government gets to make those decisions. And then the healthcare medicine, that's pharmaceuticals and healthcare durable goods, durable healthcare, what do you want to call it? The medical equipment and stuff. So that's just a separate government there. They'll probably work really close together, but I just want, because it's so big, it's a large portion of the economy. I want to make sure that had a little bit of separation. Financial institutions will be governed, and the rating system will be so important in how they're rated. Elizabeth Warren is big on finance, and a lot of people don't like the way she wants to regulate it, but some people do, so they're going to be regulating differently. So Elizabeth Warren type of rating system, if they like, people who like her will go with a rating system that's different than people who maybe like Ted Cruz or Rand Paul, more of a libertarian or conservative bent. So you're going to have different groups rating these people differently, rating these organizations differently. Then the currencies in Sector 19, they're more bank related and currency related. So what currencies are? We have 1,000 different currencies. We have competitive currencies, all working with one standard, good trade, easy trade, and everything. We have a whole system on that. Look at that. But that has a lot of power. Which currencies are doing it the best? We have a rating system for that specifically. Insurance is going to be huge. They're going to take over Social Security, and then for Social Security, a competitive Social Security is what I call it, where you have roughly 12 different retirement systems throughout the nation. Local components in every state and sometimes cities to look at retirement systems. So that is huge. We break up Social Security, so each one needs to have a rating so people can choose which one's best. We don't want just an advertisement blitz from one of the financial houses to say we're the best. No, we want 12 different competitive rating agencies to look at everything and have arguments and debates, and forcing others to debate each question within the reason, obviously. Food regulations, we want about a dozen of those. Obviously, we need ratings to say how good each food regulator is, because we want safe food out there. So there's going to be some restaurants where they're going to have a rating set that says 60. People are like, I don't think I like that. I want a rating of an 80, because that's food safety. So there's obviously different levels of food safety. You get up to 80 and 90, you're probably going to be getting a lot more expensive. Getting down to the 60s, a lot less expensive, but people are going to get what they pay for. Education, obviously we need good ratings. What percentage of your children going through your education system, I call competitive school board, is going to have a good education? Who's going to be at reading level? What's your standardized test scores look like? What's your percentages in each school? And so when you as a parent decide what education system to put them in, you're going to have things to compare. You're going to have many different rating agencies looking at it from many perspectives on what to look at. Same thing with manufacturing, different manufacturing standards. You're going to have some with very high standards that's going to jack up the cost. Things with much lower standards, lower cost, maybe less safety. But hey, that's what the free enterprise is all about. If you bring everything to such a high standard, then nobody can afford it, and what we're left with but something probably very old with low standards that could be more dangerous, where you can't even upgrade some to a newer one, because to upgrade anything you have to go way high, and now it's double the cost. So you stay with the lower quality for a while. That's what a lot of manufacturing regulations do right now, is you're grandfathered in with the current one, but to build something new, you have to make such a huge jump and pay so much higher to get there. Human resources and sales, obviously that's labor law and taxes. So what's your ratings on human resources, labor law, minimum wage, and overtime rules and the like? How is your people that belong to your membership liking what they're doing? What's the results? Again, results, intentions, and results are going to be wildly separated in this sector. I mean, most of these are going to have wildly different intentions versus results. So that's important. Identity, personal and business, that's going to be your DMV. That's going to be your government agencies that deal with your identity, with ownership, who owns what. You're going to have courts about a lot of things, your will, your just who owns what, your records keeping it, and the like. So that's going to be highly important. Which competitive governance does that the best. Environmental, again, intentions and results are going to be hugely different based off of what you're doing. So that needs major ratings and a lot of debate in the nitty gritty on that, from expert to expert, so people can really see what you're dealing with. Because right now, you have one monopolized government employee saying what is right, and you can have a lot of other experts out there that question it, but one lays down the law. And the law comes with police officers with guns that can come stop you from doing something, even though you can say, well, no, this is better environmentally safe. But no. So we're going to have a dozen different ones and a dozen different rating agencies to do that. Work safety and disability, another one. Your results and your intentions are going to be wildly disparate, different there. Your roads going to be the same thing. What's the results of your road building? We're going to have a dozen different road agencies that will regulate private roads. They all have to cooperate. There's a lot of things to rate regarding the different private roads. Media and communication, free speech, that's going to be a catch-all for a lot of things that you might not see in here. A lot of parts of government that you might not see in here will be going into either Sector 27 or 29. The land and water, what you can do with land and water, land use, water use, there's a lot there. Anyway, the ratings on that is just going to be huge on the differences. And again, the major thing is intentions versus results. The rating agency is going to be able to look at both of those and give a proper rating from many different perspectives. Until the next video.